Hello and welcome to Adventures in Celluloid. I'm your host, Corey, and well, yeah, there's another host too, but he's not as important. But,
Hey, okay. And I'm Josh, and I'm just as important as he is.
but yeah, Adventures in Celluloid. We are equals. Adventures in Celluloid. Where this podcast is, we're going to just discuss various movies, and whether they be some of our favorite movies or just movies we happen to have seen, or some of our least favorite movies, which I'm sure we're going to do at some point. Because I'm sure there's one movie out there that we both equally hate.
With passion.
Yes.
Yeah, and we'll talk about those movies, and then also as movies come out, like, for instance, Star Wars this December, it'll probably be a pretty big topic, and we'll be talking about the big releases of the years and the months and whatever when we get up to those points. So
if I can actually see this in theaters. I'm seeing Star Wars in theaters. I've got that.
Yeah. So basically what this podcast is going to consist of is, well, we're going to talk about whatever movie or film that we choose to talk about for that podcast episode, designated podcast episode. And then we're going to give it a rating from our very own custom-made MPAA rating system.
It's not an MPAA anymore.
Yeah, it's not MPAA anymore. It's just Josh and Corey's rating system.
Content rating system.
Yeah, and we're going to be rating it on quality and
yeah,
otherness.
Yes, I agree.
So, what are we talking about today, Corey?
Let's see what's on the schedule for today. Today we are talking about Star Wars.
Star Wars.
The original Star Wars.
And this is good because talking about it at this point, now it'll help lead up to the big episode, which will be number 7, The Force Awakens coming out.
No, the big one is Empire Strikes Back, let's be honest. Let's be honest.
Well, I mean, it all leads up to the new one. Not the big one, just the new one that's coming out.
Yes, the new one.
So, basically what we'll be doing is on Adventures in Celluloid for the next few weeks, we're going to be releasing podcasts just for Star Wars. Just because just this December, just Force Awakens is just coming out. It'll be just.
But yeah. So a little background about Star Wars. I personally just refer to it as Star Wars unless I'm talking to a simpleton, and that's when I call it A New Hope. I don't call it A New Hope unless I'm talking to a
unless you're talking about like just a single episode though, right?
Yeah,
like how would you just say like the first Star Wars?
Yeah, I say the original Star Wars. I usually say that. Whenever I to make it clear that I'm talking about just a certain one, I say the original.
Okay.
But all other times, like whenever I list them, whenever I write a list, I go Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, and so on.
We'll start with the first one then?
Yeah, we're going to start with the original Star Wars.
We're just going to start with the original Star Wars, folks.
Original Star Wars. Wasn't called A New Hope until 1981, I believe.
So when it came out, it was just called...
Just called Star Wars.
Sweet.
And yeah, then I wonder how dumbfounded people were in 1980 when The Empire Strikes Back came out and the opening crawl said Episode 5. People were like, where's the rest of it?
I missed it.
That holiday special didn't count, did it?
We missed it. No.
But yeah, so hopefully you listeners know Star Wars. Hopefully you won't be getting things spoiled, because there will be spoilers. This podcast is not going to be entirely spoiler free, because can't really do it spoiler free for the most part. But yeah, we need to mention anything else before we get it on?
Not except that I'm super ready.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Let's do this.
So, Star Wars, it opens up. There are 2 ships. One of them's being chased by this bigger one.
That iconic scene.
Yes, and then the bigger one takes the little one into it, like it captures it. It captures the little one, and then in the little one, it's got Princess Leia and the droids and all the rebel dudes on it.
And they're like, "Oh no, I thought we were gonna get away."
And then Leia puts the Death Star planes into R2-D2, and then which R2-D2 is a little robot. Hopefully you know that. We call it a droid. And and then they go into the escape pod as the bad guys are boarding the ship. The escape pod goes on a little dusty planet called Tatooine. Tatooine. And that is where we meet our hero, Luke Skywalker, who is a simple farm boy who just wants to go to the Tashi station to pick up some power converters. That's all he wants to do with his life. And he wants to be a pilot for the Empire. And then he finds these droids, he's cleaning them up, and then he finds this message that Princess Leia put inside of R2-D2, that Obi-Wan Kenobi is her only hope. And then Luke's like, she's beautiful. And then
she's beautiful. Hands next to the face like you're sleeping. She's beautiful.
And then this leads him to Ben Kenobi. And so he's like, who's this Obi-Wan dude? You know him? And Obi-Wan's like, no, I just spoiled that. Let's go back. Strike that. Reverse it.
You didn't hear
Ben Kenobi is like, well, of course I know him. He's me. Oh, there we go, right there. He's me. And then I still love imitating his voice, even though I'm terrible at it. Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's a name I've heard and haven't heard in a long time. And
at this point, it's revealed that Obi's like wiser than a wise man on a wise hill.
That is just so deep.
Yeah, he's the epitome of wisdom that Luke holds on to. Because his other aunt and uncle are stupid. No, I'm joking.
They're not stupid. They're just simple.
Yeah, they're just simple.
They're just simple.
But Obi-Wan is very wise.
And Luke's Uncle Owen doesn't want Luke to end up like his father, which he
doesn't really know about his father much.
There's a bit more to that than we know. Then Obi-Wan tells Luke a little bit about his daddy. His daddy was betrayed and murdered by Darth Vader. Who is now more machine than man. And he has breathing problems. Obi-Wan doesn't say that, but it's kind of evident that he's got breathing issues going on. But yeah, and then we find out that Luke's papa was not... I can't remember what Luke says he was. He's on some ship or something. That's what he did for a living. He didn't know that he's a Jedi. He didn't know that he's a Jedi up in there. And then Obi-Wan hands... lightsaber that belonged to Luke's father. He's like, your father wanted you to have this when you were old enough. Yeah, he hands a deadly weapon to a 19-year-old. I don't think I'd be very responsible with a lightsaber, but
gotta get a license for that.
Yeah, but Luke's a nice boy though. He's probably nicer than we are.
Yeah, but I mean, points it right at his face.
Yeah, he doesn't turn it on right at his face.
Thank goodness, or else the series was stop right there.
Problem solved. Series over.
What a great movie! What great special effects!
And then Obi-Wan Luke shows Obi-Wan the message that Princess Leia left. Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope. And then Obi-Wan's like, I want you to come with me to Alderaan to be of her assistance. And then Luke's like, I can't do that. I can't get involved with the Empire. I hate those guys. And then stuff happens, and then they go back. Luke goes back to... Okay, do they go to the cantina first, or do they go back?
Well,
home?
I think because I think they were going through, and then they're like, these are not the droids you are looking for. That's my best impression of him, from what I can remember. But anyway, I
forget the sequence. They go to the cantina first, or does Luke go back home first?
I think he goes. I don't know. Actually, I can't remember. But anyway. But they do go to the cantina.
Yeah, they go to the cantina
soon after
They go to the cantina for a pilot. Oh yeah, we should also mention that I don't know where in sequence it comes, but Luke's Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru are dead, and so he doesn't really have anything keeping him there anymore. And so then I don't know the sequence there. As I said, I'm disappointing you all right now, but yeah. And then they go to the cantina where they meet, or they're looking for a pilot to get to Alderaan. And then they find Han Solo, played by Harrison Ford, the one and only. Actually, there's two Harrison Fords. One of them was a silent film actor back in the day.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know there was an actor.
And so,
did he look like him at all?
No, but this Harrison Ford, the one that we know and love, and he's my favorite actor. But he's originally credited in movies as Harrison J. Ford to get rid of that confusion. Okay. But now there's no confusion because nobody knows who the original Harrison Ford was anymore unless you do a couple Google searches.
Poor guy, he was overthrown by his own name.
Yeah. You know, Harrison Ford, the one we know, even though he's credited as Harrison J. Ford, he doesn't actually have a middle name.
Really?
Yeah, fun.
Nice.
And then, but yeah, back to story. Then Harrison Ford is Han Solo, and who is Han Solo with? Who's his buddy that he's got with him?
Chewbacca.
No, it's Chewbacca. It's not Chewbacca. We're not in the South. We're not.
No, but
we're not going home to chew some bacca. Chew tobacco, spit.
Chewbacca spit.
I'm just going to chew some bacca. But yeah, he's with Chewbacca, not Chewbacca. He's not chewing the tobacco. And Chewbacca's like a big hairy dog.
Yeah.
Why did I say hairy dog? Most dogs are hairy.
Yeah, but he's like more loyal than a dog, though. He's like, you know what? I'll stick with you to the end. But he's also he's like a humanoid dog who can actually communicate with Han.
Yeah, he's pretty intelligent.
And, you know, like I mentioned before and somewhere else, like, it's interesting how, like, they know each other so much. They don't actually, like, the galactic trade language, like the Arabesh, the written galactic trade basic, what is it?
Yeah,
galactic
basic.
Yeah, and how Han just automatically understands Chewbacca, you know, Chewbacca, how he just automatically understands him. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, they've got a buddy thing going on. Like, you know, they understand each other. They like share a brain. They share a brain pretty much. Han and Chewie, they're buddies, and so they take off from Tatooine, and where are they headed? To Alderaan. To Alderaan. They're headed to Alderaan.
But little do they know.
Oh, but then we cut to the Death Star, and Princess Leia's being like interrogated by Grand Moff Tarkin. And Tarkin's like, "Where's the rebel base at?" I can't do his voice. Like, "Where's the rebel base?" Or something like that. Where is it? Base? No, that's a different voice.
Oh. Where is the...
No.
Is it lower or is it middle pitched or what? I can try it.
You underestimate their chances.
Oh, we underestimate their chances.
Sounds like it. And then Leia's like, the rebel base is on Dantooine, and then Peter Cushing, who is playing Grand Moff Tarkin, he's like, "Now we just in case you're lying, we need to test this out on Alderaan." And she's like, "No, you can't." And then they blow up.
My family's on there.
Then Alderaan blows up.
It's so sad.
Looking for love in Alderaan places. That's why. Yeah, let's not go there. But yeah, then Alderaan gets blowed up, and our crew is flying through this asteroid field, and they're like, "This asteroid field, this is where Alderaan should be." But previously, Obi-Wan was like, "I just had a feeling that many voices cried out in terror and was suddenly silenced." And yeah, and
that means they died.
That means they died. And they all died at once. And then they see a TIE fighter going, and they're like, "That TIE fighter's too. It can't. There's no space stations out here. That's too far out." And then they see a small moon, but it's no moon. It's a space station. And then they get sucked in by the tractor beam, and they are on the Death Star. And then some stormtroopers go up to investigate the Falcon, the Millennium Falcon, Han Solo's ship. I don't know if we mentioned what it was called, but that's what it is, the Millennium Falcon. It's like a whole nother character, the Millennium Falcon. It really is.
You know what I used to call it when I was little?
What?
The Aluminum Falcon.
The Aluminum Falcon.
The Aluminum Falcon.
It wouldn't have survived the Kessel Run, that's for sure, if it was made of aluminum. And
get microwaved.
And so they're on the Death Star, and some stormtroopers investigate the Millennium Falcon, and Luke and Han take some uniforms after beating up some troopies, and then they're disguised as some stormtroopers, and Obi-Wan splits off, goes and does his own thing, turning off the tractor beam and all that. The droids, they're droids, so they get to just roam around, you know.
Yeah.
It's normal for droids to be on the Death Star, and Luke and Han go to the prison because they know that the princess is on the ship, so they pretend that Chewbacca is a prisoner, and they go to the prison block, and the guy's like, "Where are you taking this thing?" And then this whole altercation happens. Go pew 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 pew, and everything's blowing up.
Everybody's yelling pew.
Pew! And then Han talks to the computer and is like, slight weapons malfunction. Everything's fine here. Everything's fine. And then the guy's like, we're sending a squad up. And he's like, negative, negative. And then he blows it up. And like, boring conversation anyway. Luke, we're going to have company. And then Luke saves the princess. He gets her out. And then the squad arrives. And there's blaster fire going everywhere. And then Leia takes point. She grabs blaster and she's like, someone has to save our skins. It's like, pew, pew, pew. And then she blasts open this vent. And it turns out the vent goes down to where? Where's the vent go? Where do they go down to, Josh?
Walmart.
No.
Oh.
No. It's garbage disposals. Not much different. But yeah, they're stuck in the trash compactor. And Luke's on the beeper with C-3PO, and he's like, you need to shut this thing down. We're about to get squished because it's about to compact them because trash compactor. It's about to they're going to be a lot thinner, as Han Solo says.
R2-D2's there like,
no, R2's just like, I got this.
It's like yelling at C-3PO and be like, stop messing with stuff. I can do this.
I got this. And
I'm smarter than you, even though you know like thousands, million languages.
R2-D2 shuts it off, and they get out of the garbage disposal, and everything's peachy. But not quite. They're still on the Death Star. Then a bunch of firefight happens some more, and they make their way to the Millennium Falcon, and Luke sees two glowing beams off in the distance. They're both coming from lightsabers, and he recognizes them as lightsabers. He's like, whoa, I just got a lightsaber. And one of them belongs to Obi-Wan, and the other is Darth Vader.
Oh,
it's the first time Luke has ever
mysterious.
seen Darth Vader. And he's like, whoa, this guy is fighting Ben Kenobi. Obi-Wan just kind of looks over at Luke, gives a little smile. It's like, I got this. And then Darth Vader kills Obi-Wan, who now disappears. He disappears. He mysteriously disappears.
Vanishes out of thin
he
air.
vanishes. And then Luke shoots the door control panel before Darth Vader can get through. And then all of a sudden, Obi-Wan's voice says, run, Luke, run. And then Luke gets on the Millennium Falcon, and then they get the heck out of there. And then they fly to Yavin, where all the rebels be at. And they discuss the Death Star plans and how they're going to blow that thing up. And then everybody gets in their ships. Han Solo leaves with his money that he got for the princess and all that. And so Han Solo's gone. As with Chewbacca, he left with Chewbacca. Luke is flying a thing, and so they're all up there. They're attacking the Death Star. They're all going for attack runs. They're in the trenches on the Death Star. Death Star is trenches, and the only way to destroy the Death Star is to what?
Shoot it down the hole with the Force and
Yes.
make Jack Porkins save the day.
Yes.
Tell them about Jack Porkins.
Not Porkins.
You gotta tell them about them. About the.
Yeah, Porkins is one of the pilots. He's been a hefty guy, but he gave his life for the rebellion, and we need to have a moment of silence for Jack Porkins. He is still missed. So then they all go to avenge Jack Porkins' death by continuing the attack runs, and then Red Leader, he gets up there, and he fires off he's up there next to the exhaust port. He fires his torpedo, and what does it do? It just impacts on the surface. And everybody's like, oh no, we almost had it. And then everybody else gets blown up, but Luke and Wedge. Ledge.
Ledge. Shoot that ledge over there.
But then Wedge has to back off, so it's just up to Luke. Luke's the only one out there, and he's being chased by Darth Vader himself.
And
two other dudes.
Somebody started speaking to him.
And then no, that's not yet. That's not
what?
yet.
Well,
he's
but,
being chased.
Not
yet. Not yet. But he's being chased by Darth Vader and these two other dudes, and it's looking so hopeless right now. It is looking hopeless. Admit it. It is looking hopeless.
It's not
but no! One of the dudes that Darth Vader's flying with gets blown up, and then Darth Vader's like, what? And then
what?
And then Darth Vader gets flung off by the explosion and stuff, and then who do we see? We see Han Solo, and he's like, just blow this thing and go home. And then Obi-Wan's like, use the Force, Luke. I guess it did come before this. Yeah, whatever. But then he fires out the torpedo, it goes into the exhaust port, and boom! The Death Star blows up. boom goes the dynamite. They have a big ceremony where they put medals on Luke and Han. Not Chewie, for whatever reason.
Chewie doesn't get a medal.
Chewie needs a medal.
He deserves it.
I'm surprised they didn't add that in later with George Lucas's other antics.
And you see him, like, crying. He's like... He's like, why did you give me a medal?
Like, he deserves it, because he's probably the only reason Han even came back. Because Han was gonna be like, I'm not going back. I don't need those people. Then Chewie's like, and then Chewie's like, and that translates to, hey, those people are cool. They liked you. And then Chewie thinks for a minute. He's like, and that translates to, what about that princess though? I think her and a guy like you. And then Han's
hey, it's that annoying friend who's like, hey,
and Han's like, shut up. And then Chewie's like, you like her, don't you? You like her. Han and Leia sitting in a tree. Kissing. And then Han slaps Chewie, and then they go save the day. Because really, it's Han Solo that saves the day. If it weren't for him, if it weren't for Chewie, Chewie's the real one responsible here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If it weren't for Chewie, the Death Star wouldn't have blown up. But yeah, that is the story right there, the original one. And while we're at it, we should probably establish the correct order to watch these movies in. And that is release order. And that is Star Wars, which is also called Episode 4, A New Hope. Then The Empire Strikes Back. Then Return of the Jedi. If you really want to watch the prequels, watch them Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith. No crap like 4, 5, 2, 3, and 6, even though the absence of 1 is admirable.
We're looking at you listening.
Right now. If you're listening, you know who you are. You know who you are. But yeah, we're still cool, though. We're cool. I'll see you later, buddy. So yeah, that is the gist of that original movie right there. And talking the whole franchise for a minute, who would be your favorite actor?
Hayden Christensen.
What?
No.
What are you? I was just about to punch you right in the nose. Like, why would you choose him? I mean, like, I hate sand. It's rough, it's coarse, it gets everywhere, but everything here is so smooth. And why would you like that? Smooth. Everything here is so smooth.
And okay, he's got to be like my least favorite.
Yeah, your favorite actor from
he's got to be everybody's least favorite, hopefully. But my favorite actor is probably most likely Han Solo.
Harrison Ford.
Yeah,
Harrison Ford.
Well, not Han Solo isn't the actor. Harrison Ford.
Ford is Han Solo. Just let's be honest.
Yeah. Okay. So Harrison Ford, he's just great. But also
Harrison Ford's my favorite actor of all time. So.
Yeah, he's a close tie with the Stormtrooper who bumps his head.
Oh man, unsung hero. Stormtrooper who bumps his head into the door. He's
my favorite.
He probably got blown up. Well, in fact, he did die. There's no way he survived.
Moment of silence for Bumpy Head Stormtrooper.
Bumpy Head Stormtrooper. We're not gonna have a moment of silence for him. He was a bad guy.
But
he was a bad guy. He would have killed Porkins in a heartbeat. We can't have a moment of silence for some guy who would have killed Porkins.
Okay, I'm sorry.
We can't have that. He just bumped his head, and that's all he did. He's a legend. I don't know if the actor's dead, because I don't even know if anybody knows who the actor was. So I was playing that one.
How about your favorite? Harrison Ford?
Harrison Ford, all the way.
Harrison Ford?
If a movie has Harrison Ford in it, that's going to be my favorite actor in the whole thing. Yeah. Like, he's been in some pretty bad movies, but he's always a shining star in each one of those.
Yeah. An interesting topic. Tell me your favorite memory of Star Wars.
My favorite memory of Star Wars? Aside from actually watching them?
Yeah.
Probably the action figures. We had a ton of those growing up. We had a ton of them. We'd do all the stuff, and we'd pretend they're all fighting and everything. And, the action figures, that's just perf.
Yeah, I remember when I was growing up, my older brothers had the action figures, and I hadn't seen Star Wars yet, and I was like...
How old were you when you first saw Star Wars?
I was like 11 or 13 or something.
11 or 13? What?
Something like that.
What? I probably saw it on my way out of the womb. My mom probably had it on in there, and no, that's gross.
We're not going
But we're not going to go there. But yeah, it's probably one of the first movies I ever saw.
Yeah, but
Star Wars. I don't even remember the first time I saw it.
Yeah. Anyway, I grew up with action figures. And I was like, I asked my older brother because I had Darth Vader and little Annie.
Little Annie.
In my hand.
Little
I was
orphan
like,
Annie.
So who's this kid? And he's like, that is Anakin Skywalker. And I was like, oh, who's this? And he was like, that's also Anakin Skywalker. I'm like, but he's in a big black suit and he looks like he's like a robot or something. He's like, yeah. He's good and evil at times. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense to me. But then I watched it. I was like, oh, this all makes sense.
Yeah.
But okay, so this is really interesting and really hilarious.
Okay, but before you get to that, someone has just joined us. His name is Lee. Can you say hi?
Hey guys.
Yeah, he's not a host, but I guess he's important.
He appeared out of thin air.
Out of nowhere, but he might be joining us a few episodes in the future. I don't know if he'll speak, but there we go. But he's here. Okay, what were we gonna say, Josh?
Okay, so we were talking about, favorite memories of Star Wars, and you were saying action figures and stuff.
Yeah.
I would say action figures for me too, but probably a bigger memory would be...
What could be a bigger memory than the action figures? I mean, come on.
Well, directly after my brother and I saw Star Wars, we were like, that we were like in the infatuation phase. We just like, that's all we talked about.
That's been my whole life.
Yeah. Yeah. So, basically, what we decided to do was create a spoof and a completely recreated version of Star Wars, except that it was called Cup Wars.
Where was I for this?
You were in space.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh yeah. Operation Wolfstar.
So
Was Han a solo cup?
yeah, he was called Han Solo. Yeah, that's what he was called. Luke Sporkwalker, Darth Vader, and then so what we did is we recreated every single character, every single scene from Return of the Jedi, and we recreated the entire Return of the Jedi movie. It turned out to be like 20 minutes long because it was all abbreviated, but so
That's understating it.
yeah. So, but every character was made of a cup or of something, like compared to a cup being a person, we made a full-scale AT-AT Walker for the beginning of Empire Strikes Back.
Out of what?
Out of cups, paper plates, plastic plates, tape, and everything.
Do you still have this?
We actually do.
What?
We have a bin of all of the characters we made and everything. It was pretty great. So, but yeah, I would say that's probably the biggest. It's probably the biggest memory we have of it.
Of it?
Of Star
Of
Wars. Of Star Wars.
Star Wars, yeah.
Yeah.
So. Anything you want to say, Lee? He shook his head.
Lee shakes his head.
He shakes his head a lot. But, oh yeah. Okay. Next subject at hand is probably one of the biggest and most debated subjects when it comes to Star Wars, and that is the post-release changes. I almost said post-production changes, but no, that's not what it is. It's post-release changes made by George Lucas, who has spent millions and millions of dollars on these changes, which deemed by many fans, including myself and Josh and Lee, you. Yeah, there we go.
Lee shook his head.
No, he nodded. He nodded.
Well, he nodded.
He nodded.
He shook his head up and down.
Yeah, shook it up and down. But the changes, okay, but we should get to the biggest change first. The most debated one, probably in the whole trilogy. Han and Greedo. See, in the original theatrical version, Han shoots Greedo while Greedo's talking, and Greedo's all fried and
Did
stuff.
you say Dorito?
Dorito?
While Dorito's talking.
While Dorito's talking, I don't know. But Dorito. Nacho cheese Greedo. But yeah, and then Greedo's dead. Han's the only one that shoots. So technically Han shot first, even though he's the only one that shot. But cut to 20 years later, 1997, George Lucas is like, hey, I want to make Han Solo a bit more of a hero. And so then he has Greedo shoot and miss the laser hits next to Han's head, who that head also unrealistically shifts, and it's a whole mess. It is a mess, and it kind of, not just kind of, it undermines the character of Han, because at the beginning he starts off, he doesn't care about anything but himself, his ship, and Chewbacca. Those are the only things he cares for, mostly himself. But George Lucas is like, I want it to be more heroic, and that just, then what's the character development? If he starts off as a hero, then what is he in the end? Because Han has some pretty significant character development, doesn't he?
Yeah, I would almost say like Star Wars is made so that, you know, the whole story revolves around Anakin Skywalker and his whole journey through, you know, his values or whatever. But this really significant subplot that's really major is Han Solo and like what he's doing. And I mean that was in the original Star Wars. I mean like it started in the very first Star Wars. So
yeah, and Han goes from being this scoundrel, and he's this huge rebel leader. He's a general, a freaking general, and he's pretty darn significant when you come to Han Solo. He's probably got the most character development out of the original trilogy. Like Luke's got some pretty significant stuff going on, but Han does a complete about face. And
and I would say Anakin is disqualified.
Yeah.
For now, because I mean that character development happened over 6 movies and $47 million.
Well, he did have some significant character development in Return of the Jedi. We're not talking about Return of the Jedi right now.
Yeah, right.
I mean, even in the original Star Wars, Han has some pretty significant character development right there. Because if he didn't, he wouldn't have come back at the end. And if he was a hero from the beginning, why'd he leave in the first place? Exactly. It's like,
right.
What are you doing, George? Stop it. The movie came out years ago. Let it go.
Yeah.
I've heard,
no, you can't change a classic. I mean, I know you made it, but we like it the way it was.
Yeah.
Like, don't ruin it.
It was perfect the way it was. It was a roaring box office success, the original way it was, and that's the way it should be. And I've read interviews with several different directors, and like I was reading one John Carpenter recently, and he can't watch his own movies anymore because he's like, why didn't I change? Why didn't I do this like this? And why didn't I do that? Why did I do this? But George Lucas says the same thing, but then he's like, I have money. I'm gonna go make these changes. I'm gonna do this right this time. And then he spends $10 million on stuff he didn't need to do.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. He could have spent that money on more important things. He could have donated that $10 million. Come on, George. And then I guess this will bring us to Tatooine, the Mos Eisley stuff that he added, give more life to the city. I mean, while it did give more life to the city, it didn't seem in place at all. Like, this movie was made in 1977, and these are 1990s special effects and up. And it's like, what are you doing? And like, nothing looks like it was from the 70s. Anything in that scene that he added.
Right.
And another thing is that big creature that takes up the whole screen at one point, he hides a cut with that thing. Because it passes at one point, and then we're in a completely different location once it was gone by. And that's a very sloppy way of hiding a cut, to be quite honest.
Right, yeah.
And it's like, everything's out of place, and it's just, it doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. Yeah, and that's why my chillins are going to watch the original when they're around. They're not going to watch any of that new stuff.
New stuff.
It's
become it's taboo now.
Yeah. That's all Lucasfilm allows on TV these days. I don't know if Disney's trying to change it or anything, but they only allow the most recent version to be shown on TV, and it's just that's not right. That's not right. That's not okay. And then the Jabba scene, the most unnecessary, one of the most unnecessary additions, because really it slows down the pace of the movie, and again Jabba looks out of place in being there, and his special effects. I mean, because in Return of the Jedi, he's back to being a physical thing, not digital. He's back to being, and everything we see in that scene, we already know from what Han talks about. Because we know he's got money problems. When they were adding Jabba into the scene, they ran into a problem that Harrison Ford... They originally filmed it with another actor standing in for Jabba. And Harrison Ford walks around him at one point, and they're like, oh, Jabba's got a tail. And so they're like, hey, let's have him step on Jabba's tail. And the way they pulled this off, they again shifted Harrison Ford very unrealistically up and back down. And it was so sloppy. And, I mean, even the most recent version, it doesn't work. And also in that scene is Boba Fett. And he doesn't need to be there. He doesn't need to be there at all. I mean, even though you can't see his face, he looks right into the camera as if saying, hello there, fanboys. And then looks back and it's like, he doesn't need to be there. I mean, I don't understand the huge, massive following of Boba Fett. I realize he looks cool and everything, but getting oversaturation of Boba Fett in the movies is just...
Yeah, it's better to keep him at, like, the mysterious level.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's...
Yeah.
He doesn't really have any significance to the story aside from being the one that tracked down Han Solo in Empire Strikes Back. And that's its big significance to the story and leading the Empire to him. And that's all he is to the story. I mean, I don't care anything outside the movies, but in the movies, he's not that big a deal. He's really not. And a bunch of other changes were just cosmetic stuff. You know, they like added scarring around the exhaust port from Red Leader's failed trench run.
Yeah.
They just added scarring there, and from his torpedoes and other stuff. But one change I'm surprised they didn't make was giving Chewbacca a medal, because I believe in the original script Chewie gets a medal, and it's like, but then in the movie he doesn't. It's like the props department couldn't come up with another one, and so they're just like, let's just have him roar.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't like give him a milk bone or something. Yeah, they could have added it in like with CGI and all that, but no, they didn't do it. Chewie deserves a medal. I'm telling you.
Yeah,
he deserves it. I think I mentioned this before, didn't I?
Yeah.
That
you did.
Yeah, he talked Han into getting back over there. It wasn't for Chewie, the Death Star would still be up there. Luke would be dead. Leia would be dead. Everybody be dead. Everybody except for the Empire. It's like, come on, Chewie is important here. Are there any more changes that need to be discussed here?
I can't really think of any. I think you touched on all the really major ones, like
There's a ton of them. A lot of them aren't really worth noting too much because they're just stupid. It's like, why are they there? Come on. Like some of them made sense. Like they did audio altering on Aunt Beru's voice, and like her line something like, he's got too much of his father in him. They manipulated the audio to make her sound more worried, because we know who his father was, and it's just like, you didn't really need to alter the audio there, because she says it like he's got too much of his father in him, but it's just fine the way she says it.
Yeah.
Even if there's nothing that shows that she really knows. She knows that he's a Jedi, and Luke's father. But unless Obi-Wan told her, then she doesn't know that about Darth Vader or nothing. You know?
Yeah.
Is there anything else we need to bring up on this podcast? Or do we need to...
Well, I think now's about the time when we move to the rating system segment.
So we do the content and quality. As for content, it's a little violent, but I was watching it when I was
one.
Yeah, I don't even remember the first time I saw it. I remember my entire life I've known of Star Wars. It's probably one of the first movies I ever saw, because my older brother was obsessed with it when I was born.
Content, we would say
safe for chillins.
Yeah. And then, so now...
And for our quality rating, I give it a 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. It's a classic.
Classic.
It's 10 out of 10 if you watch the original.
Yeah, the original version.
It's about...
I refuse to...
8 or 9 out of 10 if you go and watch
I refuse to rate the special editions. Like, it's just... That's not okay. That
those
doesn't
shouldn't exist.
Those don't exist.
Yeah.
But I hope, I heard a rumor, I mean just a rumor, that Disney's trying to restore the theatrical versions and release them on Blu-ray. I hope it's not a rumor, but I had the feeling that it's just a rumor, sadly. But yeah.
It'd be cool if it did.
It'd be cool. You hear us, Disney? Come on. Come on.
Come on, Disney.
Find them film rolls.
Come on now.
Do it.
Come on.
I bet George is hiding them in his basement or something. For like, no,
I don't have the original.
Are you taking them so you can change them again? Because I think Lando's new name should be Coolio Starstash.
Coolio Starstash.
Coolio Starstash. Okay.
Well,
thank you, Studio C, for that joke. But okay, I guess it's time to wrap this up. So next episode, we are going to be talking about the Empire, and what do?
They strike back.
Yeah, The Empire Strikes Back.
With fury.
I believe to be the best Star Wars film. Do you agree?
Yes.
Yes. Does Lee agree? Yeah. Okay, so we're going to talk about the best Star Wars film next episode. So, until then, may the Force be with you.
And you, and you, and you.
And even you.
Wait.